Okay. Welcome, everyone, and lovely to see you all here again. I absolutely, I want to say it's absolutely my honor to be able to share my experiences, my heart, and the things that, my journey with God. And remember, we all have individual journeys. We're all important and all significant, and we are all powerful when we connect with God heart to heart. So just a bit of feedback from the dreams that, the dreams that having been a portal in our life last week. I've had a few people come back and say that all of a sudden their dream life this week opened up and they remembered what they were dreaming. And some people had some supernatural experiences, which was really encouraging and awesome. So that's fantastic. That was what God showed me, that when he showed me to start speaking on that's what would happen. And, I love God always follows through what he says he's going to do. So I want to continue on the portals today, and I'm going to talk to you about different types of portals. And it's interesting because the word portals becoming a very now word. Lots of people are starting to talk about it. And I'm just going to, go through it. There's quite a bit of information here, but we'll go for it. And I hope that you enjoy it. So what are portals? Great question. And what do they represent? In essence, portals represent a transformative gateway to realms, energies, and dimensions. Often they represent an opportunity for personal growth, healing, a deeper connection with the universe around them, and of course, connecting with God, with the creator. And that is fundamentally, the most important thing for me is that everything that I do, I'm having this deeper connection with God, where he's communicating with me, he's showing me things in the spirit. And example, like I shared with you, the dream I had about my son, and then standing in that gap to bring protection. So some dreams call for action and we need to act. Don't put it off. All right. There is often an overlap between spiritual and natural portals. So let me just explain that a little bit more. So when people move in energy healing, they're tapping into a natural sites like you can go to the mountains, you can go to the beach or the forest, and you can find an energy. Remember, I talked about that with the ley lines, how you can step in and out of different energy lines or portals. And some spots are really powerful. So the portals, got energy where we can access certain things. And a lot of people will walk through a ley line or step into a portal and they don't ask questions. They're standing there, their hair's standing on end in a good way. And they've got goosebumps all over their body and they're like, oh, did you feel that? But there's more to it than just having that experience. And that's part of what I want to really wake up in all of us, that there is more to it. So last year there was an eclipse. They called it a lunar phenomena, and which was a natural event in the sense that the earth energy and the spiritual energy can align and create an opening for spiritual insight or change. Now, this event was called the Lion's Gate Portal. So this is where, people talk about these events in the natural. Can God be using these things? Absolutely. I personally am not one that studies the moon or the sun, because for me it's like, well, that's creation. I want to connect to the Creator. And I'm going to share a talk in the next little bit of some of the warnings that God's been showing me, that we are really on the cusp of some really big changes, and we've got to make sure that we are not being swayed again into another program, so to speak. So often natural portals on the earth are often geographic formations or environmental features, and often have a sense of an atmospheric phenomena. So, you know, earth portals can be a cave, it can be arches, it can be mountaintops, sacred mountaintops, which is often where the monks tend to sit because of the energy that is coming from the mountaintop. So it's really interesting. I happened to come across something just recently where they talked about portals. Never seen this before in my life. And I'm going, oh, here it's all coming out. And it's like on the mountaintop, there's this energy that goes up. So it's this really strong energy that goes up into the heavens. And that's why people go to the mountaintop, because they want to sit in that energy. And I want to say this, guys, they are all wonderful places. You can have an experience. But the most important thing is you are a portal, and you can have this energy that comes straight from God onto you. And it's almost like that light cylinder. But then what we do with it is we spread it that way. So I always picture the symbolism of the cross, where there's this divine connection, and then our arms reached out, that we're spreading what's coming down and then sharing it with others. Caves and grottos are another often referred to as portals. Some people deem them as, evil. Some of them will deem them as for good, depending on cultures, depending on belief systems. Some people think that, going through some of these things is like a life and death, passing between that, a consciousness and unconsciousness. So again, I'm just sharing with you different culture beliefs that, each to their own. And, one thing I've got to say this is that everything that I share with you guys, they're not formulas. They are bringing awareness for you and to the possibilities of what is available to you. God is very individual in how he connects with us. He knows your personality. He knows what makes you tick, and he works with that. So please don't take everything as a hard and fast. Oh, well, Dottie said this is how it works, so that's how it has to work. I'm giving you, grounding in the sense of these are some of the foundations that God works on and can use to connect with you. But we're all different. So, some are deemed as portals to the underworld. And then we've got some man-made arches. There's one in the US. And that's actually very interesting because it symbolizes a passage into a new world order, which is where we don't want to go. So there's a lot of those sort of things set up around the world. And I'll touch on something here. There's 5 gates that the Pope has said that he's going to open this year. And I'm spending some time, I've identified the 5 gates, and I'm in the spirit at the moment, asking God, okay, I don't think it's going to be for good. So what is it that we need to do about it? And honestly, guys, I really, want to impress on everybody that if God asks you to go and do something or stand somewhere and do something like I've shared with you, you know, going around unlocking gates in the spiritual, please do it, because it is paramount that we start to become more aware of our job on the earth, that we are counteracting what evil is doing and bringing good onto the earth. And we're going to, you know, bring in the golden era, not the golden dawn, but the golden era that God is wanting to place on the earth. So waterways and springs, creeks, all that sort of thing could be a portal. It could be a portal just for you. Like when I get in water, it really does, you know, do a lot for me. But it's not the only way I can just have an encounter with God. I'll just press into him, and I'm going to explain that a little bit further. And I'm already in his presence. So you can call that a portal if you want to, but don't. I'm just giving you kind of some guidelines on how it can work. And I'll demonstrate some of that for you as well. So the Niagara Falls has got huge energy power there. I haven't been there in the physical, but there's a lot that goes on with Niagara Falls. Very majestic, very powerful. Those sort of things open up to me, where in scripture it talks about the sounds of many waters. And when I hear the different sound of water, it just, you know, resonates in my spirit, and it causes a connection, again, an awareness of God. But it's good to get to a place where you don't need those things to make you aware of God, that you are constantly in connection with him. You're in that consciousness 24/7, which is possible for all of us. It's just a case of bringing your heart in alignment with that. Like, honestly, guys, I take God everywhere with me, and he goes, and I go everywhere with him, so to speak. So I want to talk about the Stonehenge. That is famous. You all know about it. Again, this is really fascinating. When I studied this a little bit more, every stone has its own frequency within that circle. And they all have their part to play in what that place represents and what it does. So it's definitely a portal there. And it's a connection, you know, to the ether, or, you know, into other realms. But when I studied more about it, I was like, wow, that's really fascinating. And I want to bring that to us personally, is that each one of us carry our own frequency. And when we get together in a group setting, each one has a part to play. So when we come together in prayer or declaration and proclamation of, you know, things that need to happen in the spirit, the reality that we want to bring here onto the earth, we all have a part to play in it. And each frequency is significant that we each carry, just like it is in this in the Stonehenge. So, you know, you can get portals that the sky creates as well, and connect with that. Lights through trees can sometimes create a portal. Sometimes it will reveal different entities, or angels can appear. So they're all some of the things that can happen. Purposes of portals. So really, the word portal is another word for a threshold or doorway. And you can access the spirit world, you can access different realms, and it can be used as a major starting point or entry point for a purpose, and it can also be an anchor site. So to open up or tap into higher levels of dimensions of consciousness and true spirituality, connecting with the purest presence of the Creator, of God. Now, going back to talking about the dream portals, right? That's exactly what your dreams are about. It's just that it gets you out of the way so that you can have access, yeah? Sometimes archways can be a calling into a mystery, and that can be deemed as a portal again, or an entry point that, you know, you're going into, you've got an offer to go into an experience, whether you, and you can choose whether you want it or not. Portals can also represent a number of other things, as in they can cause or be the beginning of an ascension. So I was speaking to someone the other day, and I realized while I was sharing with them, there's a certain thing that I do that then takes me into an ascension. It's the way I tilt my head. And I've never noticed it before. It was just, she asked me a question and I did it, and I went into the higher dimensions and I went, oh, that's right, I do that every time. It is an entry point for me to come out of this 3D realm and to go into the higher realms. And it's also my connective, you know, the way that I connect in the spirit. It's like I tilt my head so that I have an ear to hear. My eyes look up. And I've never noticed it about myself before until just the other day. So I thought, oh, that was interesting. So they can also evoke a desire for more of the spiritual realms, and they can bring change into your life. They bring awareness, a change of direction. It can be a transformation encounter, entry to different realms in the spirit. Example, the scroll rooms, your destiny room, or the courtroom. So there's lots of other realms in the spirit, but I'll leave it at that for now. So let me take you back to when I was 23 and I had this spiritual encounter. Now, that spiritual encounter was basically asking God to come into my life, right? Now, when I asked God to come into my life, it opened up like a portal. It opened up my heart, for starters, and then it took me into different realms, and I could see in the spirit realm. I could see, you know, light, dark. I could see evil. I could see good. I saw angels. I saw demons. I got the whole gamut. It wasn't in trickles. It was, here you go. It was a full-on movie. And that was a portal that opened up. My heart physically turned in my chest because my heart was so hard from all that I had endured for the 20 in my life. It changed. And that was a change of direction. It was transformational. It was even like a transfiguration for me, because it took me out from being one person to a completely different person. It changed everything about me, even to the point that the clothes that I used to wear, I couldn't wear them. It was like, this is not right. So, you know, mini skirts and all that sort of thing, I was just like, no, this is not right. So it even kicked in a sense of morality that had been taken away from my life, which was really amazing. And even now, the older I get, the more I realize how significant that was in my life. Again, as I explained, it can be an entry to different realities. So I stepped out of one reality into a completely new reality. And the old reality was, I mean, I was, you know, basically in Satan's world, and God took me into. So we are portals, which I've touched on, and we have access to multi-dimensions. We are multi-dimensional beings. and we carry different access points. So our mind can be a portal. Scripturally, it says, you know, lift up your gates, which is your mind, and start to think differently. Your heart is a portal where, you know, you open up your heart and you choose to love or you choose to hate. You choose to be bitter or you choose to forgive. These are all portals of our heart, our spirit realm or soul realm, that then changes the course we are on. If we, again, scripture, it says, you know, if we stay in bitterness and unforgiveness, then that's what we will sow in our life. And it brings a lot of torment and anguish, and actually is a very destructive attitude. It's a destructive energy. And this is where, you know, evil or Satan loves to keep us bound in that negative energy, because it stops us accessing the beauty of God, the splendor of God, the goodness of God, and then him being able to move in our life accordingly. Yeah. So again, I'll just touch on mind portals again, describes gateways to new perspectives, ideas, and states of consciousness. Symbolizes insight and learning, experiences that expands one awareness while also accessing old or current information. Now, that word awareness actually means we become one with. So when our minds are, you know, focused on the things of the spirit, we become one with the spirit. If we focus on material things, and I know there's a balance to this, guys, because there's things we need to do to keep a roof over our head and food on the table, you know, all that sort of thing. I get that. But I find that when I stay in that higher awareness of the spirit, a lot of the 3D things happen without too much effort. So that's where doors open up, things begin to come your way. And again, remember some of the things, tools that I've taught you about, how to pull in the things that you need, how to go in the spirit with your heart and intent and call them into your life. Call for doors to open. Remember when we opened this year, it was about declaration and proclamation. It's about your intent for this year that you want to see happen. But then you throw it up and then let God bring it the way he wants to bring it, not the way you think it should happen. And that's a lot of time people stay in how they think it should happen. And it doesn't work like that. I find I get my quickest answers and definitely solutions is when I just lift it up and let it go to God. I don't hang on to it. I don't hang on to issues. I don't hang on to conflict. If I'm in the wrong, God will show me and I'll fix that. If I'm not in the wrong and there's things that need to happen, then I let that go as well. This is the most important thing in being in the spirit and connected with God, is the surrendering of all things. I'm constantly surrendering things, and I'm okay with that because I know that it's giving me an upgrade. He's taking me into higher realms and dimensions and deeper information. So just on your mind again, we have lots of memories, which are energy patterns. They are encoded in forms of pictures or images. A conversation, you know, can trigger this as sometimes objects. Have you ever picked up an object and all of a sudden you go, oh, wow, my dad made that. And you start remembering dad, you know, and you remember how much you miss him. If it triggers, oh my God, my dad was a real so-and-so, then you need to deal with that. Don't put that item down and go, yep, I'm not touching that, because that is something that needs to be moved so that you can have a clear, pure flow and connection with the spirit. And it means you're not it's like a focus. It's like your lens or your glasses. If your glasses are dirty, you're always going to see that fleck. So it's always going to interrupt your vision. It's the same when we have trauma or we have hurts or unforgiveness. We'll always see things through that distorted vision. So, and it can happen. You know, if you've had a bad encounter in the spirit, it will stop you from wanting to have experiences because you're going to keep thinking you're going to have a bad one. That needs to be dealt with so that you can start having good experiences with the spirit. Your imagination is another great mind portal. It can bring inspiration, it can bring insight, it can bring vision, it can bring future. Now, I want to just stamp on this belief that, you know, God's not interested in your mind. That's not true. God works with you, body, soul, and spirit. You need your imagination. He created it for a reason. It's in that when you have visions or insight, it's through your imagination where your spirit takes hold of it that he shows you things. Words, again, positive and negative, can affect your life. And these are portals as well. You know, like life, memories, programming, imagination, energy, and being. Where needed, all can be changed for the better. We get to choose. And this is where really words, positive and negative, affect your life. And we need to start bringing more edification and, you know, exhorting one another rather than being negative. This world is very negative. It's a spirit that resides on this earth where someone, you know, will say a negative word and next minute 10 people are all jumping in on it, having something to say about it. That's not the heart of God. You know, if there are issues, then ask God to help you in how to deal with it, or whether you're meant to do something or nothing. You know, I see things around me with my loved ones, and then I want to say something because I can see the issues, but I'm told not to say anything because it's part of their journey. So, you know, this is where we constantly need to be in tune with God. We constantly need to have him 24/7 helping to direct us. Cellular memory is another big one. There are things that we are through, if you've had a bad experience being brought into the world, that can sit in you as a cellular memory that again needs to be healed. So, and this is where these are portals, because they sit in certain areas in your life that need to have healing or be opened up so that you can become whole in your whole being. We can create portals, as I have shared with, you know, your bed. You create that portal because you're in it. You sleep in it 8 to 10 hours a day. So that's a big portal. If you have a chair or a particular spot where you sit every day, it becomes a portal. I think I've shared before, my car is one of those situations. That's my own space. I don't have very many people in my car very often. And I love it. I get in my car, I go for a drive. I just have this amazing time with God. And sometimes I end up, I don't know where I end up, but you know, sometimes I'm going to a destination and I'll bypass that destination and be somewhere else. I'm like, oh, okay, I really did go somewhere else. Drive on automatic. Music is another type of portal, which opens up the heart. It's very powerful. Sorry, guys, I've just got to get rid of this.
Dottie, you are muted. Dottie, you're muted. I was trying to mute you when you coughed, but it didn't work
Oh,
well.
sorry, guys. Please forgive me. All right, your eyes can be a portal. Remember, the eyes are the windows to your soul. I always find it very interesting when people can't look me in the eye. Yeah, I just go, okay, can't make eye contact. What's going on there? So I'm going to go down now to, and I'm going to try and share screen this, guys, because I want to show you some of the things that you can step into, but not realize what you're stepping into for good. So let's see if this works. All right, can everyone see this?
Yes, we can.
Where it says below location? Yes? Okay.
Yes. If you hit
I
your
want to,
box up at the top right there, you can expand it. Up at the top, almost there. Oh, no, up. Next to the X. Next to the X, there's a
oh,
square.
yeah, I can't get to that because I've got something else happening here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me try.
Yep, that one right there. There you go.
All right. So sometimes we can, this is what happens sometimes when I step into a ley line. It's like I've crossed over. So I wanted to give you this example. I'm going to give you a few more so that you start to be more aware of, oh, I've just stepped into something. So a below location is like if you step into, and it's not always a circle, but it's a good indicator of what it feels like. Feels like you've stepped into a space that's changed, right? Like it's an energy vibration, and it can present an atmospheric phenomena, but it also can feel like you've just stepped into the presence of God. And this is where it's like, oh, and the key, can I say this? The key is to live in this. The next three things I want to show you is really how you want to live in the presence of God, connected in the spirit. So it's like you've got this space around you. People call it an aura, whatever you want to call it, but this is how I see it, and this is how I I try to live in this all the time. So it can feel like you've stepped into something. It can feel like it's above you, right? Remember I said I tilt my head up because I'm looking through a portal, and it's pulling you, or it's causing you to look up. And this can happen even in your dreams. It can be, and this can be a call to come up to a higher space. So lift up the gateways of your head, your mind, your thoughts, but it's like this energy that sits up here and you're like, oh, wow. And it causes you to look up, or an upward, upward pull in the spirit, because God's wanting to bring you up into the next revelation or insight, understanding, understanding, or connection in the spirit. And then you've got one like this, which is where I love. Let me do this one first. So it can be in front of you like a door, so you're stepping into it. Now, it's not always a round circle, guys. It can be a doorway, it can be an archway, that sort of thing, but it's an invitation. And this is where, remember what I said, you need to ask the questions. How am I feeling? What is this portal? Is it giving me peace? Is it giving me an invitation to come into a higher presence of God? Or is it, I feel uncomfortable with it? Is there, oh, I don't think I want to go in there. All of those things is really important that you listen to that. And then this is the one where you feel surrounded. I know this is a little bit, alienish, if that's such a word, but, spaceship-ish. But I wanted to give you that picture of this sense that it's all around you, like you've stepped into it. It's a very strong sense of vibration, a sense of divine presence, and it's a full body encounter. And for me, this is where I want to live. This is the experience I want to have 24/7, where I'm, you know, constantly surrounded by the very presence and the power of God and the connection that I have for him. Yeah. So that to me is, you know, my heart's desire, and that's where I want to be. So let me continue there. So when we begin to access a portal, we may experience seeing a white light. Can start small, then begin to grow as you are moving towards it. It's like sometimes with some of the shifts that are happening spiritually globally, some people feel lightheadedness, or they feel like they're phasing in and out of dimensions. And particularly when it's with the head, and people go, oh my gosh, I'm feeling, you know, a little bit dizzy. It's like, okay, we're in a situation where the presence of God is really strong, then it's calling them up. It's like they're coming into a higher dimension. You can have a sense of incredible love and presence. You can see colors. You know, there can be a golden color, a deeper, purer connection. It can be a seed of governance. You can see a blue light. It's a realm of revelation or a higher knowledge. And this is where we can also access spiritual intellect. Now, I want to clarify, this all comes from having a relationship with God. I want to make that really clear. And, you know, like I've said before, Jesus is very important. If you've had an encounter with Jesus, fantastic. That is, he is very relevant in the things of the Spirit. And I have taken new age people, if I can. I don't like to put people in a category, but just so you'll understand what I'm talking about, that I've taken them on an ascension and they've encountered Jesus, and they've had an incredible encounter with him that has helped change their life. So, you know, there's what I'm trying to get away from is that there's only one way, in the sense of, unless you do these formulas and say these words, is the only way you have access to the Creator, to the one true God. And I don't see that. I see that many people have had encounters that are very connected with God, that's very different to one another. And I think we need to be open to God moving however he wants to move. Can I just say that? Instead of being stuck into formulas and rhetoric of what it's supposed to look like according to certain people or religions. Yeah. So the other thing is, when we can create a portal together, in the sense that a gathering or a community wanting to bring God's heart and change into a situation, we open it up with a heart of intent and desire. It has a purpose, and it brings positive change. So an agreement and an alignment of the purpose. So, for example, us here today, it's like, okay, we could sit over a nation together. That's the intent. God's heart is for a nation to come into alignment with him, with his plans and purposes. We then engage the angel, the godly angel that resides over that nation, and we ask for the scrolls of destiny of that nation to be revealed, so that we can come in agreement with God's heart for that nation. And we can do that collectively. And I've done that, you know, over the years with lots of different people, and we've seen incredible things happen within nations, with with suburbs, you know, with areas that need God's healing. We're the ones that are meant to instigate that. We're the ones that are governing this. So we need to come in agreement with God so that these things can happen. And with the last 6 years, this is happening more and more people are aware of their spirituality and doing this sort of work. That's where the conversation about ley lines is becoming a really big conversation, which is fantastic because it's opening people up to their awareness in the spirit. So there is a ley line workshop that I do here in Australia, and I take people through a full day of teaching them about ley lines and portals. And then we walk on a property and release people to go and experience different things that are on this property. And every time we do it, something amazing happens. And people that don't feel that they're very spiritual are actually going, oh my gosh, I felt that. I could feel that energy. I could, and they're listening to other people sharing their experiences. And some people all got the same, something that happened underneath a tree. Everyone got the same thing. And yes, I had already walked the property and I had already done the reconnaissance of what was there and what wasn't. And then we went and healed that area as we were led in the spirit by God, and brought healing to that tree. We, healed the earth, healed the land. And then I had another workshop a couple of weeks later, and people said, oh, wow, we stood beside that tree and there was a real healing sense around that tree, right? So this is where we can't underestimate what we carry and what we bring onto this earth. And that is part of the lie that we're coming out from under. So, bringing healing to the earth or portals, creating a portal is number one. We need to be led by the Spirit. It needs to come from the heart of God. If we do things willy-nilly, or we just do it on an assumption, then you are actually opening yourself for some problems. And there'll be some learnings for you, which is okay. But, I'm kind of one of these people, like, if I can do it God's way, which is always the easier way, then that's fine by me. Let's do that. When you're on assignment, you're always bringing God's heart and purpose into a space. It invites angelic beings to work with you. And then having direction from the Spirit, you're creating change, but it's all by his direction. It's not by what I think and what I deem should happen or shouldn't happen. Now, let me go here. This might be a bit controversial, but that's okay. Is that the other side will use it for their purposes, as in the sense of they want wealth, they want glory, they want, recognition. And when they start doing it with the devil, they're selling their soul. And this is where they can use the same things that we can use for good. They will use it for evil. And I've been saying this, that, evil prevails because good people do nothing. And if there's ever a call to action, it's now. It's very now. Whether it's in your family, it's in your town, it's in your workplace, get the heart of God and start releasing that. We don't have to go out and start taking on super big things. We need to, start with the little things and start growing in that, growing in hearing God's voice, God's heart for the situation. To me, God's heart in everything is the number one priority. And there are times, I feel God's heart weep, and I weep with him. There are times that his heart's rejoicing, and we have a good laugh together. We rejoice together. So, this is where we're coming again. I have to say, it's that intimacy of your relationship with God, the one true God, the creator of the universe. Remember, evil or Lucifer cannot create anything. His whole plan is to try and take down the throne of God. And we're part of God's throne. We're part of who he is. And that's why he's been coming after us for a very, very long time. And you know what? He can't. But he's got a lot of us hoodwinked or, bullied or, believing that, God is always testing us or putting us through trials and punishment to then make us love him more. As a parent, I know for a fact that if I did that to my child, they wouldn't love me more. They'd be afraid of me and they would want to get away from me as soon as possible. That's not who God is. God is always calling us closer to him. He's always, wanting to bring us into a higher relationship with him and a higher awareness. All right. I'm going to finish that there. Is there any questions? Yep, Lisa?
Yes, there was a lot of recognition about what you taught. And I have to say that once I had this experience of exactly what you pointed out, like the blue figures, I didn't know what it was then. And it was in Germany in the night, on the toilet, etc. So I closed my eyes, and as I opened them, I saw it. So normally it is the other way around. And it was like overlap or overcrossing two blue circles, and they were shining brightly. So,
Yeah.
and then it looks like a cross, but it was not really a cross. And so it was oval, let's say, one this way and one that way, and they were circling. And then, as you told, that you access the what is it called, the portal. How do you do this? Because I was really looking at it, and then after half a minute or so, it was gone, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know where to go or whatever. I told Hans about it later, but I never knew what it was. And now you explain it. Perhaps that's what it was, but I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely. So sometimes those experiences is bringing your awareness, and the fact is that they are wanting to bring revelation to you, wanting to bring insight with you. So kind of they can be angels as well, absolutely, where they've got a message for you, revelation. So what I do, guys, if I have angels come into my presence and it's only fleeting, then I go in the spirit and I ask for what it was they were trying to give to me. Right? Just because you can't see them anymore doesn't mean that there still isn't a connection. Right? So,
Dottie, can I ask this still, because it is years ago, it is perhaps 12 years ago or longer. Can I still ask that question, or is this stupid?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. You can ask the spirit, you can ask God to go, if there was something that I missed there that you want to reveal to me, please, can you bring it back? But it does every situation where you find God, and even if you don't get it straight away, you can go, there's some things that he'll show me, and then it'll be a couple of days later that all of a sudden I went, oh, that's right, you were showing me that. Now, what was that again? See, it's already imprinted. It's already there. So it stays there. So you can go back into that. Right? Like the angels that I had that came into my house and set up camp for, weeks, that I can still see them, because that is a memory in my spirit, but also in my mind. So I'll often go back and go, oh, what are you guys up to now? What do you, where are you now? And are you going to come back and visit me? So it's not, I know some people go, oh, this sounds ridiculous, but do you know the most important factor is that we stay really childlike, and God loves that, because we stay in innocence and purity of just, doesn't matter what the question is. There's no silly question. There's no, oh my gosh, how immature is that? Like, God so wants us to learn. And if we ask the questions, we can go back into our dreams, so we can go back into our experiences. Now, when I go back into the experience I had when I was 23, I can feel everything again. I can see that the fact, like, I've had encounters with the face of God, and I go back into it and I can see his face again. I see the love in his eyes that he has for me. And it brings me to tears. It overwhelms me when I stay in it, because it's still there. Just because we've moved on in time, it's still there. Remember, we're multidimensional. So we are past, present, and future. Our spirit can be in all of those places. That might split some religious thinking there, but where God is, I am.
So
Where I am, God is.
Oh yeah, so if you say you can access the portal, right? If you have a circle, you want to have one above you, one below, you want to
Yeah.
be in between. This was not what I experienced there, but if you want to access a portal, how do you do this? Do you do this mentally, or are you going to step in, or what do you do then?
Okay, well, it depends how it formulates in front of you. Remember when I said, when I want to look in the spirit, I tilt my head and I look up, right? It's because I'm looking in dimensions. I don't have to always do that, because I can look dimensionally just by looking at the video screen. I can start to look, like, I can look at you and I can start to look at things that are in your life, or things that have happened in your life. And then also I can look at the things that are ahead of you if I ask God, but only with permission of the person. I don't class myself as a psychic. I don't want to be a psychic. I just want to get God's heart for everyone that he leads before me, if he wants me to have it, because it's free will involved with that. So, I feel that encounter for you, Lisa, was God showing you. It can be a confirmation that you're on the right path and he's leading you to higher things. So it's a bit like your dreams. It's asking those questions. Okay, what was that? Okay, like, now I've had an entity come at the end of my bed, and I've woken up and I've gone, okay, what are you here for? Now, I don't go to the negative straight away. I'm always looking for, okay, God's trying to tell me something. Now, in the spirit, I saw him lift up a net, and he was going to throw a net over me, like he was going to capture me, and I stopped him. I just went, no. So, these are the things that again, your heart, your spirit will start to ask these questions without, your brain having to go, hang on a minute, let me just wake up and let me just see what is going on here. Your spirit will start responding straight away. The more that you move in it, the more that you move with the spirit. Okay. Sometimes I'll have a conversation with someone, or I'll hear about something, and I need a couple of days to go and think about it, because I'm not getting the answers straight away. So then I go and sit with God and say, what is it that has to happen here? So that's what I call percolating it. I sit with God and percolate the answers or the situation so he can give me wisdom. Because ultimately, his attributes attributes that we can access. So that's the spirit of wisdom, clarification, revelation, you know, all those things we have because I'm in him, he's in me. Now, I want to clarify something else here too before I go to Todd's question. There is another stream of talk that's coming out, of conversation, right? And that is people are starting to say that we are God. This is deception. And I want to put that on the table because I'm hearing and I'm seeing more and more books written saying that we are God. No, we are a part of God. He created us and he is with us and in us. We carry his DNA, but we are not gods. And I'm starting to, these are some of the things that I'm watching at the moment because of the fact that we are spiritually on a real cuspus of coming out of religion, coming out of New Age, and starting to come into of who we are. And what's happening is there are misrepresentations. So as soon as someone starts saying, oh, but I'm God and you're a God, you are entering into a deceptive thinking. I want to put that on the table as a warning because I'm seeing it come more and more. Okay. Okay, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Todd? Are you saying hi or you got a question, Todd? High five, buddy. Oh, hi, 10. No? Anyone else got a question?
Todd, why don't you try your Zoom audio? There's an it may be turned down your audio settings on the Zoom app, not on your computer.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. My question is about the portholes is when more and more people gather, is it easier to open the portholes? And the reason I ask is
Absolutely.
because they have, you know, the seances to bring people back to talk to the dead. And I'm just wondering if that's because they're opening a porthole up.
Okay, so number one, you don't ever want to be part of that.
No.
Number two, that's called necromancy. And they are, you know, conjuring up the dead. And that is not done in a godly way. It's not God's heart in that essence. And they're conjuring up the dead to access things that they have carried or knowledge that they've had that they're trying to tap into. Okay. The only knowledge that you want to tap into is the knowledge of God. You don't, this is part of, you know, what we're shifting out of, guys, is that a lot of people think that they have to go through someone else to get access, right? This hierarchical or gurus or warlocks, witches, high priestesses, they're all part of a hierarchical system that is, you know, based on their need to be important. The fact is we can go direct to God. That doesn't mean that as a community or a group of people that we, you know, what we do here is I'm sharing with you my experiences, because sharing my experiences opens up things in your heart if you want it, right? That becomes a portal. That's where you go, well, if that person can do it, I can do it too. I've read things that I've gone, wow, I've not experienced that, but I think I'd really like to now that I know that it's possible. Okay, let me give you a prime example. The person that broke the runner that broke the 1 minute mark. It was like he finally came underneath the 1 minute mark, and then next minute, 20 other people did the same. It takes one person to break it through to then let the others come through as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Anything to do with, and it's really interesting because witches and warlocks are starting to show their faces a lot more. There's now on Facebook, they've got spell books. You know, they're talking about how to access finances. I'm telling you right now, guys, you are selling your soul to the devil. You can access those things through God, which is the purest stream of the Spirit that will come to you as you grow in how to handle these things. Our spirit already knows how to handle these things. It's our personalities, our soul that needs to learn how to handle these things. Because we have ego, we have fears, we can be vindictive. These are the things that have to get, you know, cleaned up so we are a pure vessel for the Spirit of God. So anyone that talks about, you know, well, I'm a God and you're a God, I'd have some little red flags going there if I was you. And please listen to your little red flags because they are speaking volumes. And if you get a little red flag and you're going, you know what, I still really like this person, I still really want to fellowship with them, that's fine, but still hang on to that little red flag because somewhere along the line you're going to have to go, yep, God told me and I need to. All right, does that make sense? Everyone's very quiet. Did everyone enjoy that?
Yes.
Is it helpful? Am I helping you guys?
I enjoyed it, Dottie, very much.
Thanks. Because, you know, my heart is to be helpful. I don't want to be here to entertain you, but I want to be helpful so that you guys can then go and help other people and have the experiences that you were designed and born to have. Right? So this is breaking off this mindset of you can't experience heaven until you die. That's the biggest lotus kabusha I've ever heard. And I when I had my encounter and then stepped into the church, they go, well, that can't happen and that shouldn't have happened and that doesn't happen. And I'm like, well, it did. And you can't talk me out of it because I experienced it. It changed my life. This is the difference. Can I please, I'm going to end on this. This is the difference. An encounter with God, they cannot be talked out of it. And I want to challenge this, guys. If there is a mindset that if you get people to, you know, say the sinner's prayer or, you know, say this formula of, you know, the Kabbalah or whatever religion, and they go, now these are the 5 steps to your salvation or connection with God, and they don't have an experience, that is not an experience. I've seen thousands of people accept God under emotional pressure or fear, and hasn't changed their life. It becomes another program that they've entered into, and they can't fulfill it because they're trying to fulfill it in the flesh. When you walk in the Spirit, things are easy because you are doing it with God. They're easy things to fulfill because God directs you. He's with you in it. He's all over it. When I find, and I've learnt this, I don't do this anymore, but I've learnt there's some things I go, oh, that's a really good idea. Let's go over here. And then go, oh, God, can you bless this? And he goes, no, because I never asked you to do that. I actually never wanted you to do that. But then we go, but God, can you bless it? And he goes, no. This is what happens. People start things and then they ask God to bless it afterwards, and it's not what he's got for you. You've run off on an assumption. And then there's consequences for that, unfortunately, because there's lessons you need to learn in it. But was it God's will for you to go through those consequences? No. It's just we didn't bring him in to the conversation before we started. Yeah? Okay, Lisa, you got another question?
Just one, but I don't think that you can answer him now because it will be too long. But this has to do, perhaps you can have another session about it. It has to do with the free will of us and the free will who is overruling from God, right? Because everything that God does will happen because he knows what the best is for you. But you still have your own free will, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so this is a bit confusing now and then. So for me, what would will, because I can will something, I can want something, but if God says, no, it's not for you, then I can ask 1,000 times. But if God says, no, it is not the best for you, then I will not get it. Then where's my free will? What do I do with it, right? Because that's what I
Okay. Let me explain this, Lisa. I want my will to be God's will. And sometimes we come from what we think we need, and it's not what we need. And this is this is where it comes to surrendering. Any good idea I have, anything that I get shown in the spirit, I always surrender it back to God. Simply because, number one, I always want confirmation that it's him, and I'm always walking in what he has for me. Okay. So my will and heart is to walk in what he has for me. And I trust him. I've seen God save me from my own stupidity. And then some people go, yeah, but well, this is what I want to do. But he's trying to save you from going through heartache or financial ruin. I use it anyway. And I can give you an example for this, is that my husband, this is quite a few years ago, my husband at the time, he wanted to do something that was a really big financial risk. And God spoke to me. He said, don't do this because you will go through financial ruin. Now, I turned around to my husband and I said, if we do this, we will go through financial ruin. And he turned around and said to me, oh, it'll be right. Within 2 weeks, we lost everything. Absolutely everything, because he didn't listen. And I was in it with him. I'm like, I had to go through it with him, even though God said, don't do this. And the fact was, God helped us get through that, but we had to put our head down, and our mum worked very hard to get out of that situation. And it was devastating. It really, really was. Because we just absolutely lost everything. And I know heaps of people have lost everything, but this was a long time ago when it should not have happened. And we got ourselves back and we pulled together. But I could have said to him, see, I told you so, but I didn't, because I was like, well, God, you're with us in this. He'll never leave you, even when you make a mistake. He never leaves you. He never abandons you. All it was then I went, okay, how do we, now you got to realize my husband went through a breakdown. So I had to be the one that was like, rightio, now let's refocus. Let's go the next step. Now what can we do? And they charge. And that's what happened. And we never got back what we should have had, but we still did very well.
So
God was still in it with us, because it's like bringing back your focus back to him. If you're angry at God because something hasn't gone the way you thought you had, you are not in a good position. It's like, you better surrender that real quick. Because I have found after all these years that sometimes the things that we think are going to turn out a certain way don't. And when I look back, I go, thank you, God, that you saved me. Because I see what you've saved me from. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
We'll end that there. If you want more discussion on that, or, just send Jenny an email and we can have a topic about that. So, all right, guys, for being here this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it. And, as I said, it's my honor and privilege to do this. Remember, you are powerful people and you're on your journey. And I just hope that, I encourage, I help you, I give you tools in the spirit that have helped me, that I've learnt, and that they can help you. Be blessed and have a great week, and love you all.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Very
No
helpful.
worries.
Thanks,
Thank
Darcy.
you.
Thank
very
you. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Bye, beautiful people.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Brian Stein.